Howdy everyone, we're back in Dallas for a private game part 2. You guys really liked the first one I posted, so I had to run it back. Got a lot of fun characters in this video tonight. We're gonna get some food. We're wearing a drippy outfit here. Got the Poker House bucket hat on because it closed, but we're rocking it for the good luck. Today's a special video. My birthday is coming up in around 3 days from when I'm filming this. So I am doing a special thing for this video where I need to make $1,000. Why $1,000, you might ask? Well, the Airbnb that I should get is around $800, and the one that I want to get is $1,800. So in order to make up that difference, got to grind a little bit of 5-5 here. We're in for $5,000. If you guys are new here, leave a comment down below what kind of videos you like to see. Is it live streams? Is it small cash games, big cash games, private games? You guys let me know and I'll make them. As for now, let's get right into the action. Wish me some birthday run good. Let's go! We get our food order in with the private chef, and then we're right into the 5-5 game. I'm in for $5,000. First hand of the night, I look down at King Queen offsuit from the cutoff. Straddle is on. There are two limpers over to me, so we have to go for a large sizing, and I decide that that price is $60 to go. Player in the straddle goes by Scott. He puts in the call and two others do as well. So just like that, we are going off multi-way to the flop, which gives me top pair and the backdoor heart draw, Queen Jack 6 with two hearts. When the action checks over to me, I decide to go for a $100 bet into the $250 pot, and only Scott puts in the call, leading us off to the turn, which comes a pretty big brick. It comes a 3 of clubs. When Scott checks it over to me for a second time, I take a second to think about what he's calling me with on the flop. He could have hands like ace king, king 10, he could have 10-9, and of course he could have any two hearts, although I do in fact have the king of hearts in my hand. So a lot of those hands are bluffs, obviously. And then he could also have hands like ace jack, jack 9, maybe pocket 10s if he's ambitious on the flop. Either way though, I'm not really too scared about any of his holdings. I think pocket 6s might have check raised me on the flop, so I'm confidently eliminating a lot of those combinations. All of this talk just means I should go for a large sizing, and I decide that the right price to do that for is $350. I'm trying to charge all the draws and all the worst hands that want to continue for another street. Scott does want to continue. He puts in the $350, and just like that, we are playing an $1,100 pot, going off to the river, looking to see a clean one, and it's not exactly what we get. It comes the ace of hearts. I say that because it obviously brings in the front door heart draw, brings in king 10. So yeah, those are two of the most obvious draws he could have in this spot. Luckily for us though, he checks it over to me, and I'm pretty happy to get to showdown here. I don't think I'm going to get called by too much worse. Maybe a hand like queen 10 might call me, but when we check it back on the river, he says he has a jack. I don't make him show it, and I immediately turn over the best hand. He mucks his cards face down, and we're taking in that $1,150 pot right out of the gate. All right, we're up to $5,400 in our stack, and I look down at the ladies from the big blind. The +2 opens it up to $20. There's 3 callers over to me. Thereby, I need to go for a 3-bet, and I decide $125 is the amount of chips they'll have to put in to see a flop. And 3 players want to see a flop. They think that's a reasonable price. Putting in the call, we are going 4 ways to a flop, which comes king 6 deuce with 2 spades. The action checks over to the hijack, who was the opponent in the last hand, Scott, and he decides to go for a bet of $150. The reason why I checked it on this flop is obviously there's a king, there's some draws out there, and it's multi-way. You want to do a lot of checking in these types of pots. So I don't hate my check here, but I'm not really loving Scott's bet here from the hijack. That being said, he is closing the action, so he doesn't have to have a king in his hand. He could also have a hand like queen jack of spades. He could have ace 10 of spades. He could have 10-9 of spades. Heck, he could even have a hand like 5-6 or 3-4, 4-5. So yeah, I can't be folding just yet with a hand as strong as pocket queens. I put in the call, and we are the only one to do so, leading us off to the turn, which comes a pretty big brick. It comes the 5 of diamonds, and I'm obviously going to check it over to Scott once again. But he bets out here on the turn like he does for $275, puts me in a weird spot because obviously all of his kings would continue to bet here. But all of those bluffs that I mentioned on the flop are still not made hands. They're still all draws, so yeah, I think I got to put in the call once again. I wouldn't blame anyone here for finding a fold, but I'm going to get a little bit sticky here in this private game and put in the $275, and we are going off to a river. River comes a pretty good card, the 8 of diamonds. It doesn't complete the front door flush draw, so I'm going to check it once again, hoping Scott checks behind. That would probably mean that we are good. If he bet large here, that'd put me in a weird spot because he would do that with a lot of his missed spade draws, but luckily for us, he checks it behind. I turn over the queens, and unfortunately, he turns over king 10 offsuit. So yeah, him checking behind there on the river meant he had some value. Didn't want to get blown off of it or thought he could get called by worse. But yeah, I might have called a small bet there thinking he would turn some spades into a bluff. Luckily for him, though, he's taken in that $1,400 pot. And yeah, me and Scott 1-1 on the session. Let's see if we end up battling with him later on. All right, king-queen offsuit again this time from the cutoff. Few limps to me, so I raise it up to $25, and a few players put in the call, leading us off to a flop, which comes pretty bad for us. Ace-6-3 rainbow. Although it's bad for my immediate hand, it is going to smash my pre-flop raising range. So I decided to go for a c-bet here of $30 into the field, and only Nathan on our right puts in the call. When he puts in the call, he could have any assortment of hands like pocket sevens, eights. He could have, of course, an ace in his hand. He could have some backdoor diamond draws or backdoor heart draws as well. So yeah, not giving him too much credit here. Still a lot of draws and weak hands I can try to blow off on the turn. The turn comes a 7 of diamonds and Nathan chucks it over to me for a second time. Probably should be going for another large bet here on the turn, given the fact I'm going to have all the strong aces. And Nathan's pretty capped at like maybe pocket threes or pocket sixes. Given the fact I have a few better hands than him, should be betting out here on the turn. Instead, I check it back. I think it's kind of a mistake, although it is kind of connected with 3, 6, 7, and 2 diamonds. Can't really hate my check back here. That's what I decided to do when we're off to the river, which comes the 9 of clubs. Nathan checks it over to me for a third time, and this seems pretty weak. I don't really think he has an ace and would be doing this, so I'm going to try to take this pot down here with king high. Although my king has some showdown value against hands like king jack, king 10, maybe a hand like queen jack or jack 10, something like that. I think I also should bet here and try to get hands like pocket 5s, pocket 4s, maybe a hand like 6, 8 to fold as well. So I decide on a sizing of $85, to which Nathan snap calls me, which is never good, and turns over the goods, 7-3 of clubs. So yeah, he turned 2 pair, and honestly is winning the maximum from me in this hand. No worries though, we are moving right along to 5-7 of clubs from the button. This one gets pretty fun. The straddle is on, and there's a raise to $30. 2 callers over to me. Could be 3-betting, could be calling. Don't really think folding is in the cards tonight, so I put in the call, and both the small blind and big blind call as well. We are going off extremely multi-way to a flop, 6 ways to be exact, which comes ace-6-4 with 2 hearts. Flopping ourselves an open-ended straight draw on a 2-heart board. A little bit of a predicament because we want to see an 8 or 3. However, if that 8 or 3 is a heart, now we're kind of in a weird spot. Let's see what happens here. And Mr. Regis, a Dallas legend, bets out for $50 into the field. And Nathan on my right decides to raise it to $150. So Mr. Regis bets out for $50, which is already kind of strange. I would expect Nathan to have a large calling range and fold sometimes. Raising here is pretty strange. It means he has a hand like pocket 6s, pocket 4s, ace 4, maybe ace-5 of hearts would play this way, although I think they would just call and let Regis continue to bet on the turn. So his raise here kind of sets some alarm bells off in my head, thinking he could have a set or 2 pair in this spot. My hand kind of is a fold given the fact there are 2 hearts out there. If there wasn't 2 hearts, I think I can continue a larger percentage of the time, but it's a private game. I'm trying to run up my stack here. So I make a kind of a loose call and put in the 150. It's a little bit of a bad play because Mr. Regis's range is pretty uncapped as well. If he has pocket 6s, he's just going to pop it up here to $800, and we just pissed away 150. So I definitely want to be closing the action if I'm putting in the money here, and also don't want to have 2 hearts on the flop. But luckily, all that goes out the window when Mr. Regis does not decide to re-raise it. He just puts in the call, and we're going 3 ways to the turn, which comes the jack of clubs. Not exactly the card I wanted to see, but surprisingly, the action checks over to me. Now, this hand is very strange for many different reasons, but when Nathan raises the flop and then checks it to me on the turn, my mind is in the blender. I have no idea what he could have here. If he had 6s, 4s, ace-4, you'd think he would continue betting on a non-heart turn. So maybe he has a draw like 3-5, or maybe he has the same hand, 5-7. I have no idea. Maybe a heart draw that just wanted to control the size of the pot. Either way, though, I think a bet here in my spot could get the job done. After all, I just have 7 high. So given the fact there is a lot of weakness being showed on the turn, I don't hate a bet here, but I decide to take the free card, see if I can spike a miracle 8 or 3 that's not a heart on the river, and we check behind. Let's see what the dealer puts out there. The 8 of spades. Bang! We river the straight. Regis checks it over to Nathan, so it appears like he is slowing down and giving up on the hand. And now Nathan decides to bet out for $500 into the $640 pot. Nearly a pot-sized bet. That is huge for us. We're loving life right now, sitting with the 8 high straight. We cannot be beat in this hand. We have the nuts. What a great feeling when the opponent bets out for $500 and you're holding the nuts. The only decision is, do I go all in? Do I min raise him? What kind of sizing do I want to go here? He started the hand with around $1,700, so I probably should just rip it all in here. Not really worried about Mr. Regis when he checks the turn and the river. And after a few seconds of deliberation, that's what I decide to do. I jam my stack in, and after Mr. Regis folds, that's an effective bet of $1,500. After Regis folds, it takes Nathan about 0.1 of a second to snap call, which is crazy great news for us. We are playing a $3,600 pot, and we have the nuts. I confidently turn over my nuts, expecting to be shown a hand like 2 pair or a set. But that's not what Nathan shows. He shows me the same hand as mine. No! Nathan, what nice the? Hand, you play nice that garbage? Although the garbage version, 7-5 offsuit. You playing that crap, bro? What is going on here? He turns over 7-5, and we are chopping up that $3,600 pot. Pretty crazy the way that was played. Let's go back to the flop when Nathan decided to raise it up to 150 with a draw. That totally eliminated 7-5 from my mind, but Nathan, what a crazy player. 7-5 offsuit. Gonna chop that one up, and yeah, he's a great kid. We are going to battle with him later on in this session as well. What? Wow. I was like, I got there. Oh, this kid plays that garbage. Also, I play that garbage. What a bummer. What a... All right, 4,700 in my stack, and I look down at the ladies once again, this time from the blinds. +1 opens it up to $15. There are 4 callers, no shortage of action here in this game. And I decide on a sizing of 115. Just want to charge all those opponents. Usually when they put in 15 bucks, a few players might call with like a pocket pair like 5s or 6s, some suited connectors, and then some hands like king queen and ace king and all that garbage. So don't really blame myself for going large here. And when 3 people put in the call, makes me think I could have gone even a little bit larger. We are going off 4 ways to the flop with the ladies, looking for a board that gives me an overpair, and that's exactly what we get, 8-7-4 rainbow. Now, I know I said I'm looking for a board that gives me an overpair, but at the same time, when they're calling 15 and then calling 115, yeah, they're going to have hands like 5-6 suited, pocket 8s, pocket 7s, pocket 4s, 8-7 suited. So this board completely smashes their call range. Not exactly the best board, even though I do have an overpair. I decided to go for a c-bet though and just find out where I'm at. $225 is the price. And I told you we're playing with Nathan later on in the session. Well, I meant this very next hand. He puts in the call from the button, and we are going off to the turn, which comes the king of clubs. Nathan has position on me here, kind of a weird spot. Do I check it over to him, or do I continue betting, representing hands like pocket kings, ace king suited, stuff like that? I decide on the latter of the two and bet out for $350, not wanting it to check over to him, and then he goes blasto and puts me in a weird spot. So I decided to bet out for $350, and Nathan decides to call once again. So yeah, I definitely think he would have all of the straights and sets and 2 pairs here. No really reason to raise with not many draws out there. The board is not connected. There's a club, spade, heart, and diamond. So no flush draw available. Don't think he would raise any of those strong hands. So he could be stringing me along here. He could also have a hand like 8-9 or 8-5 or 8-6. Who knows? He puts in the call, and we're going off to the river, which comes the 3 of spades. Really shouldn't change too much. 5-6 was already a straight. I think checking here makes a lot of sense for my shoes. Betting doesn't accomplish too much. I think all of his 1 pair would just fold. However, checking would allow him to bluff with some hands as well, so I have to get ready to call a bet. When I check it over to Nathan, though, he does not decide to bet. Instead, checks behind, showing 10-9 offsuit. So he had the open-ended straight draw the whole way, and then wisely decided not to bet out on the river. However, if he went for a large sizing of around pot, I probably would have folded, considering I'm putting him on a straight or a set. Either way, though, I'm taking on that $1,600 pot. Feels pretty good with my 1 pair there on that pretty connected board. Ship it over to me, dealer. All right, next hand, we are going to battle with ace-8 of spades from this $10 straddle. Few callers over to me, so I decide to pop it up to $35, and we are going to get a few players that put in the call. After Daryl continues to fondle my mudkip, man, I should file a police report for some harassment there. We see a pretty gross board, which comes king 9 for all clubs, and obviously I'm going to check with my ace high on this monotone board. Flop checks around, bringing in the ace of diamonds on the turn, and Nathan on my right, he loves to bet, and he fires out into the field for $35. I'm not going to go anywhere, even though there are 3 clubs on board. I put in the call, bringing in the 10 of diamonds on the river. Nathan fires out now for an over pot size bet of $300, which is polarizing. He either has a very strong hand or he has a bluff. My pair of aces would beat all of his bluffs, obviously, but there's just a lot of hands like pocket fours. He could have obviously have flopped a flush. He could have 2 pair. He could have queen jack, all of that garbage. So I decided to let it go and not want to put in the $300. Is that a mistake? Is that a good fold? We'll never know. Oh, yes, we will, because Nathan kindly turns over queen jack of diamonds. So he ended up rivering the nut straight, but not the nuts on the board with 3 clubs out there. Either way, nice to know I made a good fold. And yeah, I ended up making $530 in this session, but I didn't want to end the video here. I wanted to come back the very next day and try to make up that extra $470 and try to get the nicer Airbnb for my birthday. So we fast forward to the next day. You're not going to have to wait to see it. I'm back in for the exact same buy-in. We are up $530. We need to make another $470. Let's see if we can make it happen. All right, session number 2 starts out with king queen offsuit from the button. +1 opens it up to $20, and the +2 3 bets to 75. Pretty standard so far. And Nathan, he has come back for day 2 here. He is on my right once again. Nothing's changed, and he puts in the cold call for $75. Action's over to me, so we got a raise, a 3-bet, a call. Seems like a pretty good spot to go for a squeeze, king-queen offsuit. Might not play too well 3 or 4 ways to a flop, so definitely want to be 4-betting here, and my range is going to be pretty narrow. King-queen offsuit isn't going to find it in here too often, but that $75 call from Nathan incentivizes me to put in $200 into the middle. Don't need to go too large. I probably could go $250 or $225, but $200 also should send alarm bells through all of the other opponent's mind. The initial raiser folds, the initial 3-better folds as well. So 2 players down, 1 to go, and Nathan didn't put in $75, just a fold for an additional $125. Nathan puts in the call. We are going to see a flop heads up in position, which comes 6-3 deuce rainbow. Nathan leads out for $75 on this board, which kind of signifies to me he has some sort of pair or a strong draw. He could obviously have hands like pocket fours, pocket fives for a pair plus gutter. I have 2 overcards, would much prefer to have king queen of spades, diamonds, or hearts. So I'm making a loose call here, but I toss in the $75. I'm just calling in position, thinking if Nathan checks the turn, I could probably blow him off a hand and just represent a hand like 10s, jacks, get him to fold, and the turn comes the 7 of diamonds. Nathan does in fact check it over to me. So by my logic, I should probably fire out here for $300 to $400, represent all the strong hands like pocket aces, pocket 10s, all my strong draws like ace 5 of diamonds, stuff like that. But I'm a wimp, I don't always make the right play. Good to acknowledge in the moment that I think a bet is probably the better move here, considering I would think he would bet out on the turn with all of his strong hands. So him checking here is pretty weak, definitely shouldn't be checking behind. And that's what I decided to do. I checked behind, bringing in a board pairing 6 of spades, and Nathan checks it over to me for a second time. If his check on the turn was really weak, his double check here now on the river is pretty much nothing. Now, does my king high beat anything? Sure, it beats hands like king 10 of diamonds. It beats hands like 8-9 or 9-10, but I'm losing to all of his ace highs that are doing this as well, like ace 5, ace 10, ace jack. So I think for that reason, I like a small bet here on the river for $200, just trying to get value with maybe hands like 8s or 9s that decided to check back on the turn. Yeah, that's just kind of my thought process here, but of course, I didn't play this hand very well and I checked behind. We are probably going to get punished here and he's just going to turn over an ace-high hand and we're going to want to puke, but that's not what he shows. Wolfgang here is getting some birthday luck. Nathan turns over king-high, king-jack suited, and we have 1 pip higher than that. King-queen offsuit is going to take down the $655 pot. All right, let's upgrade hands here. Pocket 10s from the straddle. Fig Jam raises it up from the +2 position to $30, and the hijack decides to jam it for $235. He got short stacked. He's playing some tournament poker here and just rips it in for 23 big blinds. Action folds back around to me. Pocket tens is a pretty strong hand. Now, Fig Jam, though, has a lot of chips in his stack. Calling here is a little bit scary because what if Fig Jam just makes it 700 or 800? Now I'd be calling the 235. I'd probably have to call that as well. Just would put me in a weird spot. Raising here probably is the better move. I decide, though, just to put in the call, and luckily for us, Fig Jam gets out of the way. So we are going to see 5 cards here off to a run out. The villain in the hijack does not decide to turn over his cards right away, so we're going to have to sweat it, and this is not a great board to start off with. Ace Jack 7 with 2 clubs. Turn comes the 8 of spades, and the river comes a 6 of hearts. How am I going to be good here? Oh, I guess if the villain had King, Queen of diamonds, that would be a combination that we beat on this board. Not many of them when he just rips it for 235, but luckily for us, taking down this $500 pot, nice call by me. Right, it worked once with pocket tens. Why not run it back? I raise it up to $25 from the under the gun position, and Daryl puts in the call. Just like that, we're going heads up, out of position to a flop, which gives me an overpair. On a board of 5-4-4, not exactly the best for my range. I'm sure I'm gonna have all the overpairs like the one I have, but I'm also gonna have hands like Ace King suited, King Queen offsuit, Jack 10 suited, stuff like that. So I don't really hate a mixed strategy here between betting and checking. I decide to throw this very strong hand into my checking range because I can't only be checking when I miss this board. So I throw it into my checking range and check it over to Daryl, who fires out for a little bit over half pot to the tune of $35. Check raise here makes some sense. I do that with all my overpairs. I would also do that with a hand like Ace 5 of clubs, Ace 5 of diamonds, stuff like that, maybe pocket fives, although I think I would just let Daryl continue to bet on the turn with that strong of a hand. Either way, though, I put in the call, leading us off to the turn, which comes the deuce of clubs. I think after check calling the flop, the best play here would be to start with a check once again. That's what I decide to do. I think Daryl is going to have a lot of checkbacks on the turn, thinking he would just stab on the flop, and then if called, he would start giving up. But he surprises me by going for a $75 bet on the turn. And now I know he has to have some sort of strong hand or a very strong draw, if not a made hand already. He bets $75 into the $130 pot. I think check raising here with a hand as strong as pocket tens makes a lot of sense. Want to bloat the pot up here and get value from all of his draws. He could have some strong hands like Ace 5 suited as well. Sure, he could have a 4, but we might be value owning ourselves a small percentage of the time by raising here. I think raising is the best move. Not too far behind is check calling. That's what I decided to do. I just put in the call, and we see a king of spades on the river. I think on some rivers, I could also be leading out here, not wanting him to check behind with a hand like pocket sixes or pocket sevens, but that might also get me into some trouble if he had a hand like king 10 of clubs or king 10 of diamonds. He would raise me and put me in a weird spot. So I check it over to Daryl once again, looking to see what he's going to do. He immediately checks behind and turns over pocket nines. I turn over the tens, and we're taking down that nearly $300 pot, but I really think I should have check raised the turn, got a little bit more value, and then gone for a little bit more value or checked on the river. Let me know down below. I think I missed out on maybe 100 to 200 bucks here, but still no harm, no foul, taking down that $300 pot.
Big D!
What's up, man?
Big D!
All right, 2 hands to go. This one's pretty fun. I looked down at Queen 10 offsuit from early position. I decided to raise it up to $20, and 3 players want to battle with me. We're going off 4 ways to the flop, which comes Ace, Ace, Jack with 2 clubs, a paired board, and a flush draw available. I decided to start with a check. I'd probably do this with some of my aces. I would do this with pocket jacks. So yeah, multi-way, I decided to start with a check, and it checks around, bringing in the 6 of hearts on the turn. If I had any of those strong hands that I mentioned, plus all of my strong club draws, I would definitely be firing out on the turn. Got to put this Queen 10 offsuit into that turn firing range. It's just Queen high. It's probably not good in this spot. Got to get all those pocket pairs like 7s, 8s, 9s to start to fold. And yeah, I bet out for 40 bucks, and the small blind is going to look me up for this price. Puts in the call. We're going to want to see a king on the river, so of course, I manifested it. The dealer puts out the king. Bang! We river the Broadway. Pretty great spot to be in. I don't think he's going to have a boat unless he has a hand like pocket sixes exactly. So when he checks over to me, I'm going to bet over the size of the pot, looking to target any jack, maybe any king that somehow made it to the river. Going to put him in a tough spot. I decided to bet out for $215 into the $160 pot. and the opponent immediately starts to cut out calling chips. The pretty good sign for me, he's shuffling, he's thinking about his decision. He doesn't look too happy, so I know I'm not going to get check raised here. But at the end of the day, we do not get the good news. The villain in the small blind finds the fold. We make Broadway on the river and get the opponent to fold. So I'm taking down that $160 pot. Throw a chip over to the dealer, and we are going to enter into the biggest hand of this vlog. The piece de resistance, the best hand here. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel before watching this one. I look down at pocket eights from the cutoff. When the action's on me, I decide to raise it up to $20, and 3 people put in the call, leading us off to a flop, which comes gin. Jack 8-3, bang, we flop middle set. Just like that, this hand is going to get a little bit more fun. Daryl decides that he wants to play this hand and come out for a bet of $75 into the $85 pot, and the player now on my right puts in the call. Dream spot for us, we flop middle set, and everybody is doing the betting for me. I think calling here would be a pretty big mistake. The reason why, the 9-10 suited is in both of these players' ranges. There are flush draws available, straight draws, lower sets like pocket threes. I don't think anyone has jacks. At this point, I think I have the best hand. And when you think you have the best hand and there's a lot of draws out there, charge the opponents the maximum. I decide on $225, and the action's obviously back over to Daryl. I think 2 of the 3 options make a lot of sense from Daryl. He could obviously fold, considering I am representing a very strong hand at this point. He could call with a lot of his draws or hands like Jack 10, Ace Jack. I think raising here doesn't make too much sense unless he has a hand like pocket threes. So of course, when he decides to raise it up to $600, that's exactly the hand I'm putting him on here. If you guys can think of another hand, definitely let me know down below. But at this point in the hand, I put him on only pocket threes. He doesn't have jacks because he didn't play it fast pre-flop. I don't think 9-10 would do this. I don't think Ace-5 of hearts would want to 3-bet on this flop. I think that would just call out of position and then proceed on a lot of turns. So I really think the only hand that wants to get protection and value here is a set, so pocket threes. Pocket eights is obviously not available considering there's only 1 left in the deck. Yeah, that's what I'm putting him on here, and the player on my right notices that strength and immediately gets out of the way. I probably could just stuff it in here and go for glory. That being said, though, if he does have some sort of ability to be bluffing here with a 3-bet on the flop, ripping it all in would get all those bluffs to fold. And considering I have a very, very strong hand and I'm probably going to see 5 cards anyway, I decided to keep a lot of those bluffs in and just put in the call. Let me know down in the comments, are you guys going to be 4-bet jamming here or just calling? And what hands are you putting Daryl on? It's kind of a confusing spot. I decided to put in the call, leading us off to the turn, which comes a pretty good card, the 10 of clubs. 9 queen and 9-7 now get there, but I don't think Daryl is 3-betting it to $600 on the flop with either of those hands. I really think he has pocket threes, and now his bet on the turn is going to give me more ammunition to believe that he does in fact have pocket threes when he overbets the turn for $1,500. This can't be a bluff, right? He's never going to be 3-betting me on the flop and then just overbetting the turn with a bluff. That just doesn't make any sense. This really is screaming a set here. The action's on me. Now I think I can confidently stuff it all in. If he does have any draws, there's 1 card to come. I don't want to just call here. He misses any of those draws and gives up, considering he has no fold equity on the river. So I decided to stick it all in, and Daryl puts in the snap call. Daryl immediately asked me if I want to run it twice. I obliged. There's 1 card to come, and I probably have him in rough shape. So let's run it 2 times in this $8,400 pot. The first board comes a 7 of hearts, and he turns over Jack Deuce of hearts. How did he have Jack Deuce in that spot? What a sicko you are, Daryl. He's going to take that first pot down. $4,200 already locked up for Daryl, and now he's free rolling us. We really don't want to see a heart on this second board. And the dealer puts out a red card, but luckily for us, it's the deuce of diamonds. We are going to chop this one up with a set. Unfortunately for us, though, we couldn't take down more in this pot. We had him in a very, very rough spot. He played his flush draw and top pair very fast in this $8,400 pot. Luckily for him, though, we are chopping in the long run. I'm going to be taking down that pot at a high frequency, all 8,400 to be exact. But yeah, he's a good buddy here in Dallas, so kind of fair that no blood was shed in that hand. And yeah, let's bring it to the outro to see if we made enough to get that baller Airbnb. All right, wrapping up this video, there were two sessions, obviously. The first one, we made $530. The second one, not so good. We ended up losing 28 bucks because of that chop pot there at the end. Fortunately, we could not scoop that and win a ton of money, but that's how it goes sometimes. We ended up making $502 in around 7 hours of play, around 70 bucks an hour, so not too shabby. However, it's not quite enough to take us from the decent Airbnb for my birthday all the way up to the baller one. So you know what we're gonna have to do? I'm gonna shell out that money on my own. My birthday only comes once a year. What's the point of making all this money if you can't use it on anything? So experiences are what I value. Gotta go down to Lake Travis, just outside of Austin. If you guys wanna see that 3-day montage for my birthday, you're gonna wanna watch the next video. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. You're also gonna wanna see that video because it's an insane one from the lodge. It's a live stream, advertised as a 510, but completely the opposite. It was $25.50 at minimum. Most of the night it was $50, $100 because of all the straddles. Your boy here also put on the $400 straddle. Yes, can't believe I'm saying that. I put a $400 straddle on in the next video, and it might honestly be the best video I've ever posted on the channel. I played a 20K pot, I played a 10K pot. A lot of insane stuff in that one, so subscribe, let me know down below what you thought about a few hands in this one. And also a lot of cool things upcoming on the channel. Going to Mexico for 2 days to play in Monterey on a live stream, so expect those videos. I'm also going to be hitting up the Midwest, so Chicago, Michigan, maybe Indiana and Wisconsin, who knows. A lot of cool videos upcoming in the near future, a lot of things to be excited. Got the 100K plaque down there on the ground. We are at 600K, only 400K away from the next plaque, which is $1 million. Thanks for all the support, you guys. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.
Is that Wolfgang Poker?